Now, I think it's pretty safe to say that 2024 is going to be yet another challenging year for Disney, if not a worse year for Bob Iger. Not just because of the fact that it's going to be a very empty year at that, with the Marvel Cinematic Universe only having Deadpool 3 as their last saving grace, which, by the way, already is going through a lot of trouble. We have a lot to talk about. But because of their terrible track record throughout all of 2023 related to the ongoing box office failures, or as I like to call it, Disney's flop era. You know, you have things out there like The Marvels, Wish, Indiana Jones 5, Ant-Man 3 Quantumania, just to name a couple right off the bat. I mean, Disney's Galactic Star Cruiser hotel closing was also another bad thing for Bob Iger's track record. So looking at everything related to that, 2024 is looking to be a year with no resolution in sight and no rebound for Disney at all on the horizon. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. Now, the thing about Bob Iger is that this man not only lies to the shareholders and to his quote-unquote, as he calls them, customers, but he also will do anything that he has to say, or actually do in the process to save said projects. In this scenario, Deadpool 3. Now, there's already a lot of creative differences arising between Ryan Reynolds and the writers against Disney. Writers such as Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, by the way, who are really defending Ryan Reynolds in the process for the third act of the film that they're trying to wrap up as we speak. They're trying to get this all done and finished and wrapped up by January of 2024. It's looking to be like February right now, to be honest with you guys. And I believe it's a leap year, so, you know, February is going to be a little bit longer for 2024, but there's a lot of things going on with this. So, however, given that there's also a lot of struggles arising out of Disney, with the Ryan Reynolds drama progressing as creative differences remain for Deadpool 3, while filming continues, one major development has to do with Iger's recent actions against the actor and the film by writers Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick. Now, as it turns out, Bob Iger recently forced Ryan Reynolds to shelve several important scenes from Deadpool 3 that involved both Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, that was truly going to cater to the die-hard fan base of the Marvel Universe. Now, this scene reportedly was Ryan Reynolds' most dedicated sequence for the third act that he had filmed in recent weeks, that was going to involve a full-on fight between Wolverine and Deadpool. However, the specifics of why they actually fight is currently unknown. It was described to be a moment that involved tons of violence that Disney felt was excessive for its audience and decided to force Reynolds and the writers to shut down this sequence. In addition to this, after many arguments between Reynolds and the Disney heads, mainly by Bob Iger, is that they never met with an agreement, and Iger is now pushing through with forcing drastic budgeting limitations on Deadpool 3, while at the same time cutting its running time to reduce spending on post-production and special effects that were heavily needed for several scenes within that third act. To make matters worse for the creatives behind Deadpool 3 is that Iger has now made it officially, of course, moving forward behind the scenes to no longer include Ryan Reynolds for plans to return as a co-writer for mutant MCU content in Marvel's Phase 6 and 7 in the years to come, that was going to bring back Deadpool as the form of cameos as well. And all of those conversations have been shut down quite rapidly by Iger, and even Reynolds was supposed to have a co-writing opportunity for Phase 6 for a new untitled project that has also been, of course, let off by Iger to reduce spending on films and television programs for Disney Plus as well. Now, Ryan is also being forced by Disney to not make any more social media posts about poking fun at the concept of leak culture and parodies of leaked images, as Disney was not happy about that unneeded attention for Deadpool 3, as they don't want to confuse their audience. Now, guys, let me just say one thing here real quick before I move on. Disney, I feel, thinks their audience is very dumb. What they're responding to is that they were not happy about Ryan Reynolds making those jokes on X and Instagram of those, altered leaked images where you had Mickey Mouse in there, you had the Predator, You had all these different characters on the sets of Deadpool 3. That was basically Ryan having fun with the concept of leak culture. Now, mind you, some of those leaked images are real, but Ryan Reynolds purposely edited them to make a joke out of them, to kind of mix up the results of all of those leaked photographs. And it was just really, you know, something that Ryan was doing to connect with the fan base, to kind of connect with the concept of leak culture and how it's so widespread at this day and age. And Disney wasn't having it. They were not happy about that at all. And that's why those posts came to a rapid halt. Why it did not really continue that far. And so now they're going as far to restrict Ryan Reynolds' social media usage for Deadpool 3 and how he is able to promote that movie. Again, I mean, it's not a surprise coming from Disney. I'm not even quite sure if Ryan Reynolds knew what he was getting into. I mean, you would really have to be living under a rock to not know what you were getting into, signing a contract with Disney for Deadpool 3 and beyond. And I think, at the end of the day, he could have easily went with anybody else to create Deadpool 3 if he really wanted to make this happen, with Rhett Reese and those out there like Paul Wernick. And we all know as well that Bob Iger does not care about ramifications. This is all about spilling DEI nonsense into this movie. It may not be quite as severe as past projects by Disney so far. From what we have learned is that DEI is mostly spilling into the third act and the last piece of the second act. So far, that's about all. But it's enough to show that Disney's nonsense is still spilling into a movie that is supposed to be unleashed, that is indeed rated R, that is supposed to have, you know, no limitations there. So anyway, moving onwards. Now, to get on with the conclusion here is that with Reynolds now forced to refrain from special social media posts on Instagram and X, this is only creating more tension between the creatives of the film and those high up at Disney, along with Iger calling the shots on these terrible decisions in the process. Ryan is already set to have an important remote meeting with Iger, of course, and those high up at Disney in a desperate move to reason with those one last time. Iger also canceled several filming locations that were promised to Ryan Reynolds that are now being moved into a studio via practical effects and green screen techniques, something that Reynolds is frustrated about currently. Now again, do I believe that Deadpool 3 is going to be better than the first film? I don't believe so. I think that was a lightning in a bottle. I really do believe that. Because Deadpool 2, no hate on the movie entirely, it just did not live up to expectations as far as the first film. It was not quite as memorable as the first film. And so if they can't outshine, or outperform, I should say, the second film, that's when you know Disney has a big problem. That's when you know Disney did Ryan Reynolds dirty, and there's no resolution with that. So anyway, guys, drop a comment below. Fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.